Hello, everyone.
Hello. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial. And today my guest is Sidereal Astrology Trifon Nikolov with, as you can see from the title, some good news, I hope. Hi, Trifon.
Hello, everyone, again. So, yes, when we spoke about what the title should be, I proposed this one because there is one ancient omen which talks about peace coming. Of course, they're not mentioning exactly where, but having in mind that those ancient omens were actually written in the ancient lands of Mesopotamia. Maybe it's about Mesopotamia, which is today Iran, Iraq, Syria, we can say even Israel,
Oh,
right? So in general, the Near East, but not necessarily only there, not necessary, for various reasons. So I guess starting with this, maybe let's go to the Omen itself, or maybe to comment some other things first.
I remember you also gave us in October good news because you said the skies were red. I remember the video was like the skies are red. So it means like wealth is coming. And in November, all the stock market, I have so many friends calling me and saying they doubled their wealth and because of whatever the stock market did after that. But it's
Prosperity, and
all, yeah, and a lot of people benefited from that.
it
At
was
least,
again an ancient omen from Mesopotamia which was saying this. And if you remember, there was those red skies coming from magnetic storms from the sun,
Mhm.
coloring the skies in red in various parts of America and Europe and other places. So like red skies. So literally it happened. And probably it was also an omen for the red color of Republican Party
The red wave,
when I think about it
exactly.
now.
It was a red wave, yeah. Kind of swoop.
Uh, so, so well.
Oh,
So
by
this
the
is
way, I just
fun.
wanted to let everyone know that Trifon is offering a new short reading with him, just 30 minutes for anyone who is interested on any topic you'd like. Uh, just very condensed, and it's only $100. So he wants more people to be able to access his services instead of a whole hour reading. There's just like a specific topic, or you can also opt out for a 1 hour reading with him, which now is discounted to $200 from $250, and it's for the year 2025. Whatever primary directions, progressions, Trifon uses ancient methods for prediction. If you'd like to see the year ahead, 2025, I'll put the link below for both services, anyone who is interested. And now I give you the word.
Okay, and so this red sky omen already is true. There were also other omens that I withheld last time, but the sky, so to say, gave some surprises. There was some omens about Mercury, who were talking about intensifying wars and battles, and which happened throughout the month, actually, and especially in Ukraine. So they were talking about it, but I was thinking that this condition of Mercury that they were talking about will happen this month, in December. However, it also became it come also in November. So I'm talking about certain distance between Mercury and the Sun. It's called elongation in astronomy. So anyway, this happened, but also there are other things that I was about to talk about this month, which also started already to happen. But you'll hear those. This makes me think maybe I have to give those summons like 2 months in advance, because sometimes they start like around 10 days earlier, something like this. 10 days before they actually technically appear in the sky, which is actually something valid in ancient astrology. When a certain planetary phase is happening, they say 7 days before that, it already starts to rule. this thing, whatever it is, like maybe the Saturn turning direction or Mars becoming invisible, whatever it is, they give it 7 days beforehand to start its influence. And so we are now in such situation already with certain positions of Mars. But let's go, I guess, on the omen of Mercury. So the omen that portends peace is an omen of Mercury. Mercury who will be rising in the middle of December in the various parts of the world. He will be rising in around in the 11th degree of Scorpio. So this is pretty sure, as he's very slow in this moment. And when this happens, the ancient texts are describing it. I specifically followed and searched for those ancient texts, thousands and thousands of years old. So basically, what they say is that there will be peace in the land and reconciliation. And a couple of omens survived, and all of them talking about Mercury rising in Scorpio. They say this is what he brings. This actually sounds great. In many ways, it's not happening so often, right? Basically, in ancient astrology, they give to Mercury 20 years. So maybe we can like trace back something like that 20 years ago. But now it's happening. On the 14th of December, Mercury is expected to rise. So this prediction becomes valid already 7 days earlier, around 7th of December, which is also coinciding with other things in the sky, as you'll see. And they are saying specifically that there will be like disbanding of the fortified places, retirement of the guards, of the soldiers, etc. So basically, this sounds like people serving in the military, leaving their posts, but not out of fear or something, just because the moment have come. And so, great, because we'll watch, of course, whether this is true or not, but usually the omens are true, as you can see from the omen of the red skies. And from the many other omens that I have cited throughout the years, almost every one of them became true. And so this one is actually holding great hope in this moment, which is, as you all know, very tense. Many fears are rising all the time for things like nuclear war.
You don't think it's going to escalate based on this omen?
Of course. Mercury supposes what the ancients have, because they are writing this because they have observed it numerous times. When they write something like that, it is always based on experience through the history time frames long ago. So they were observing, they were watching what's happening when Mercury is rising in Scorpio, and they finally made this. You can tell that they like engrave it in gold or something like that, right? To be in the library of the king, so that whenever in the future some astrologer of the future generations, even centuries later, to be able to see this information. And this is actually what's happening even right now when I'm citing you these texts, be there for everyone to know. So this is great hope. Even now I can even like, let's talk about like Scorpio is the sign of the Middle East in general. Many of the countries there are designated with the sign. It involves also Turkey and the Arabian countries. But we can also talk about from the point of view of the signs that rule different other countries, like Ukraine, for example, is said to be Aquarius. The lands of Ukraine are said to be represented by Aquarius by the ancients. So when we put Aquarius on the ascendant, like rising, then Scorpio will be the 10th sign. Scorpio will be the 10th sign. So, and this is considered important, powerful position, actually deciding one's actions, the games of power, etc. So this can be pretty much also very decisive about Ukraine, this position of Mercury. From the point of view of USA, Scorpio is the 7th sign from the ascendant. And this can mean dealing with one's like open enemies and partners being involved, because there are partners like of the Arabian countries to USA, but there are like open hostilities in many ways to others. So in this way, we can say USA will be also dealing exactly with some kind of peace talks, because Mercury makes this rising in phase in the 7th house. The 7th house is the house of peace, harmony, balance, when it is in a good way. Otherwise, it's open hostility. But now, having in mind the Mercury meaning, we hope that this means much greater probability of achieving peace, whether in Israel or Ukraine, or it can be maybe also in other parts, like what recently just happened about the rebellion in Syria.
Oh, your sound went off a bit muffled.
Interesting.
Maybe
maybe internet does not want to transfer this.
And
Big conspiracy theories rising.
What about Mars turning retrograde? Would that also pull back the hostilities or turn around the situation? What would the ancients say about that?
So, well, this was one of the more complex things, of course, about Mercury. Mercury retrograde, of course, he can make all those people involved with such reconciliation and with such talks, peace talks, eventually, they will have to go back to unresolved problems, of course, right? And having in mind that Scorpio is the sign of weapons, this can be definitely related with the topic, which is expected. So, but I'll just check. Take a look. Well, about being stationary turning motion, they say following things also. Well, there are also some bad news, right? So first they say when he is becoming retrograde, it indicates.
Is that about Mars?
No, about Mercury.
Still talking. Mercury. Okay, yeah.
Still Mercury. Yeah, we'll go about Mars. We'll go about Mars. Mars, basically, the meanings of Mars support this omen. But the omen is about Mercury becoming retrograde because he becomes he turns his motion, basically becoming stationary, because he is now retrograde and he will turn his motion on the 15th of December, right? So about this, they say it shows different troubles within the army. Different troubles means things that are not going in the supposed order they should. And of course, one army, we know that should be like extremely well organized to be effective. This is what they say. So this is one thing. So have in mind that there are different omens throughout the month. So there is one about peace. And we hope that at least one of the big conflicts will cease. And there is other omen, again from Mercury, which is about the opposite. Because again, as in the middle of November, but this time right on Christmas, right on Christmas. Mercury will reach his greatest elongation from the sun, like visible distance. And the ancient texts are mentioning this too. And it happened. I withheld it last time because I was not sure whether Mercury will be also visible in this moment, etc. But it happened. And now they are warning about Christmas time that Mercury being in this situation indicates most violent wars. Most violent wars. So basically, the movements of Mercury have two sides. One of them shows around 14th of December peace talks and achievements of peace, but 10 days later, his other condition indicates probably in some other place, indicates what they say, very violent wars. So having in mind that this is Christmas time, we can only like think what this can mean and where. Maybe someone will not like respect the celebrations. And so at least, well, so we have peace in one place and intensifying in another, according to the texts. Well, this is what it says. So I am transferring it to your knowledge. So let's see what else is there. Also, they say this can mean like bad rumors to the army. Okay, on the 25th of December, I mean. Now, I guess let's, because you asked about Mars. There was like various omens about Mars in Cancer. And in some of them, the ancient priests were saying to the king, oh, don't worry, Mars is in Cancer, but he's not retrograde. so, so no problems. But they were saying if I see it becomes retrograde, I will tell you. Right. So from this short message, it became evident that it will be not okay if Mars is retrograde for the king. Right. So of course we talk about the kings who are in the region of Mesopotamia. There was even one of those omens regarding the situation of Mars in Cancer, and when they after all they mentioned retrogradation there, which is expected on the 6th of December. People, on the 6th of December, Mars turns retrograde in Cancer. I think on the 11th degree, and they were finally saying that this is not good for a cat. Cat is an ancient kingdom, which basically today can be associated with parts of Syria. These are the eastern parts of Syria, but also with major parts of Iran and Iraq. So in those places, of course, however, this is also general omen for other places, but it's there. So they say that this will be bad for these places and that the king will die, they say. And evil comes for a cat. Other omen warns that the king have to know that this position is happening and has to be very careful until it goes out. So again, these omens, they say that there is danger for the rulers of the lands, especially those that are like kings, or today we can say dictators, or having unlimited power over masses. So these are certain countries that we can see in the world having such conditions. But if you remember in the last months, I was citing some moment that the king will be sick, and I think this is true for the King of Britain, right? So, of course, I don't know if this has to be also about him. Maybe. I'm not checking specifically about that. But the Omen is here. So Mars will be in this condition, retrograde in Cancer, between 6th of December and 18th of January. Then he will change the sign, moving backwards into Gemini, about which we'll talk next month. However, okay, so this position threatens the rule of certain rulers. However, they're also saying that later, and this is for the beginning of January, that Mars will be in such position while still being retrograde in Cancer, that this will bring, they say, droughts and drying up. So droughts, lack of rain, I guess, in certain places. Well, this cannot be good for those places. There are like limited possibility to say exactly where this can be. Cancer already. Those omens are still, again, for the same lands, but Cancer can be associated with various countries. Like in my eyes, Italy has some influence, but not only. Surely many countries in the world have some influence of this sign. Like I remember the descendant of the current Republic of Germany, Cancer as well. Also, there are other authors probably drawing information from the same ancient sources. But they say about the retrogradation of Mars that there will be, and I have said this, I think, in the last months, but they indicate that there will be opposition of the leaders of the army. So, well, this will be normal, I guess, in those times to happen, having in mind how complex is everything that is going on. So, also, they continue to say that this retrogradation of Mars will mean ceasing hostilities. So, basically, the retrogradation of Mars, the ancients are saying, means again stopping of aggression between countries or inside countries as well. So, two positions are saying that there will be peace and cessation of hostilities. And on Christmas time, Mercury situation indicates, as the ancients are saying, violent. Even most violent, they say, wars. So there can be very, very bad aggression in that time. And the wars are that still existing in the moment. This has to be expected, obviously. So basically, this is what they say. Well, also from my point of view, Mercury turning direct in Scorpio, in general position of Mercury in Scorpio, actually there is some logic, right, to bring peace, because after all, Scorpio is the sign of war, and Mercury is the planet that is the negotiator among planets. He's the messenger, right? So he always tries to balance things. He talks about the possibilities because Mercury represents communication, right? So obviously he indicates important political communication directed towards balancing. And this is the meaning. About Mars becoming retrograde, the planet of war, especially when he's in Cancer, where Mars is considered to be weakened. So we can say that any aggressive powers are now weaker. And the turning of Mars retrograde means that they will change their course of action. At least, obviously, some of them. I guess we cannot hope for like ideal situation. I think it never happened so far, right? In the known history. Not to have wars anywhere, I mean. And so, for people who are ruled by those planets, like Mercury ruled people, I talked many times, which exactly are those. So, whoever has ascendant Virgo or Gemini, this is in Sidereal, of course. In Western astrology, this is transferred to Cancer and Libra signs. However, those people, when Mercury rises and becomes direct simultaneously almost into consecutive days, 14th, 15th of December, they will be able to execute big transformation, deeper change, and in general to become more effective. Of course, this can be difficult because the rising is in a malefic sign that is not easy, Scorpio. And there are various aspects by Saturn and Jupiter showing the aspects of Mercury towards Mercury of Jupiter and Saturn existing in this moment. Like there is an opposition from Jupiter to Mercury, there is a square by Saturn. One of the things from the ancients is that when something important has to happen on a bigger scale, it is only when Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting somehow. So we can hope those peace negotiations will be like for something really big, but also for each one of people who is ruled by Mercury, this can indicate the opportunity for important changes in life, positive ones in the long term. In the very moment of the turning, because he is with some malefic associations like Scorpio and Saturn, it can feel really challenging, actually. And I even advise people to be more careful when traveling and driving on those 2 days, just in case. Otherwise, I'm repeating again, this is actually mostly positive change. About the people ruled by Mars, of course, these are Scorpio rising, Aries rising, in tropical Western astrology used signs. These are Taurus and Sagittarius. So for them, it's a time that they should go back to some unfinished works, and I can say even some emotional realization, trying to deal with one's life better on emotional level, because Cancer is about family, about one's heart, and so they can go back from their current course of action and to try to be more balanced, I guess. Anyway, the time for them will be also not so greatly effective as before, and this is until Mars like that. Like some improvement is expected around 18th of January when Mars will leave the sign of Cancer, which is actually difficult for Mars. As you can see, this can be good for some things. And so, these are Mercury and Mars people. Of course, everyone has something that is going on, right? For example, let's give attention to Saturn condition. Saturn is still in those degrees that are associated with spirituality and also with waters, representing the waters of Aquarius. Still, they give indication that in certain parts of the world there can be water-related disasters like floods and great other kind of troubles. Well, let's have in mind that in the beginning of January, the condition of Mars indicates also droughts in certain places. Maybe this is also possible to be actually the problem. So this situation of Saturn continues. And there is one very important moment. Exactly on the 24th of December, the day before Christmas, Saturn and Jupiter make a square to each other. This makes me think that there will be issues related to religion and religious places, as Jupiter represents them. And Saturn is aspecting him with the right square, which the ancients are saying is overcoming. In other words, Saturn will afflict Jupiter in many ways. This will be not good for people who are ruled by Jupiter, like having Sagittarius or Pisces rising in Sidereal, but Capricorn and Aries in Western Astrology. So have this in mind. You can have not so great day before Christmas. More tension is indicated. More responsibilities, more blockages, more moral problems in general. And about morality, Jupiter represents everything that is good, that is honest, and that's why it's related to principle and morality. And when Saturn makes this aspect exactly on this time, well, we can see greater issues in the world. And thus the omen about Mercury at the same time, literally on the next day, indicates more violence. Well, let's be more careful, and I'm sure will show up exactly what it means. As they say, they're very specific what it will be. So obviously about Jupiter root and Mars root people this month can have some setbacks. For Mars root 6th of December, for Jupiter root 24th of December. However, still for the people ruled by Jupiter, now is mostly a fortunate time in the last days, as Jupiter is still aligned with a very fortunate star. So right now, everything looks good. Most people having like more fortune, more acquisitions, because this is a financial star. So far, so good. This current moment about Jupiter is also helping the economy of the world, but as Jupiter represents wealth and will have this aspect on Christmas time, I'm not sure that this is very great for the markets in that time. Well, we'll see. Having in mind that the next day Omen is about violence, those things can be actually connected, and we can see some turbulence on the markets potentially around Christmas days. Exactly. So watch out, whoever there is playing with the markets. Let's see what else was there. So people who are ruled by the sun, Leo rising in Sidereal, but Virgo in tropical signs. Well, those will face probably some bigger moral problems this year, this month, I mean, because there will be opposition between the Sun and Jupiter on the 26th of December. Well, it seems that Christmas time is very interesting, very tense. Saturn's Jupiter square on the 24th, Mercury far from the Sun on the 25th. Jupiter again opposed by the Sun on the 26th. It seems that Jupiter has like great tension towards him. And so those who are ruled by the Sun, their ascendant lord facing Jupiter with opposition, it will mean that they can be facing like accusations, moral problems. If they have been acting dishonestly, Jupiter will make a scandal about that. It will reveal the truth exactly on Christmas or right after Christmas. But let's also talk about that Jupiter influence is good always because it shows the truth and the right path ahead. And whatever happens in those days will have positive effects in longer term for people's lives. And this is to say that this is true mostly for everyone in some way, but also especially for those ruled by the sun that I mentioned, who are they? And also or those who are ruled by Saturn, because if you remember, Saturn is making a square with Jupiter, making an aspect with Jupiter, which means that people who are ruled by Saturn will be like more happy, more successful in those days. So those are whoever has rising sign Capricorn and Aquarius in Sidereal, but Aquarius and Pisces in Western astrology. So they can still face some moral dilemmas, but more like circumstances, and they will be able to overcome whatever issues they have. The aspect with Jupiter must mean they have greater success in that time. So after all, as you can see, every aspect has two sides. Yeah, good for one, not so great for other. And later, in some other month, situation changes in the opposite way. So in this way, you can track how actually there is balance, even in the course of only 1 year. And those things are changing their places, and in certain moments that are known, tension or success are happening for everyone. Well, this is the play of the planets on the heavens, right? A play where we are, every one of us, on the stage. Interesting, today, literally today, Venus enters Capricorn. Venus enters Capricorn, Sidereal Capricorn, of course, right? So, there is old text that says that in the first like 10 days, this will mean destruction of some sort. It is actually logical because Venus enhances whatever she touches in some ways, like Jupiter, and however entering the sign of Capricorn, sign of Saturn. There is logic. There is logic that there will be some sad events because Venus is like that. When Venus is in Capricorn, it can mean that things that we love, that we like, are entering more difficult phase. Of course, this will be also beneficial in many ways later. But actually, the ancient texts say only this destruction for the first 10 days. So from now till 12th, we'll see where this will be. Well, for those who have good aspects with Capricorn, of course, this will be mostly good on a private, personal level. I personally consider that Venus in Capricorn is a little better than Venus in Sagittarius, that it finishes today in the last 30 days, because Venus was in the sign of her enemy, which this is a rule from Vedic astrology that Jupiter and Venus are enemies. But she's friend with Saturn, so she will give also positive effects, especially on the material things and quality of life. Yes. So this is curious. She's in this situation until almost the end of the month. However, right on time for New Year, she will be already in Aquarius, which is not so hard like Capricorn as a sign, even still it's Saturnian. So as you can see, in around Christmas, the positions are a little tense. In the next following days after Christmas, the moon will be invisible, so it will be time between 28th and 31st of December for more like a rest, not to start new things. But there is a good thing about the New Year. Now we see that Christmas can be not so great, but New Year is when the moon is rising. Venus will be already in Aquarius, and there are some other positions that are supporting. And this promises actually a good time for the world on the New Year. So everyone, because the moon will be rising, is may have like good expectations of good time on the New Year. As the moon is rising, she rules one place, one house in everyone's horoscope, which means there will be at least one good thing on this day, right? The moon is also how people feel, so there will be like more energy, there will be more desire for people to go out, feeling better. So definitely New Year is the time. Let's see what else. Maybe I exhausted some of the main things. Let's comment a little bit more about Jupiter. And there was when Jupiter turned direct in October, I mentioned the omen that it means plot against the king, and this actually already became true, but in Syria, if you watch the news in the last days, so this already happened. Now there is something else about the condition of Jupiter, and for his condition tomorrow on the 3rd of December, the ancients are saying that it means rains. Okay, somewhere. Whoever needs it will have it, and whoever don't need it and maybe fear should be more careful about that. Having in mind that rains, yes, but having in mind that Saturn is in the sign related to waters, this maybe is double-sided event. Somewhere can be good, somewhere may be disastrous. Anyway, they say it means rains for tomorrow, 3rd of December. Interesting. I have not looked at the meteorological predictions for the world, of course. Just saying what is here in the texts. And there is something additional about Mars, because I put it in the end. They say something also bad comes with the retrogradation of Mars. This is actually a warning for the world and for people in general. They say it means outburst of diseases, pestilent diseases. So in general, I guess viruses, etc. Now, the retrogradation of Mars shows that this is like the most intense time for those things in the year, I guess. Well, be careful when you travel, I guess, in the next days, around 6th of December. And so, many other things can be said. Venus, for example, already entered Capricorn. She rules people with rising Libra and Taurus in Sidereal. Scorpio and Gemini, however, in tropical Western astrology science. And Venus in Capricorn will make like more practical, successful time in work for them. Maybe not so like great mood because it's Saturnian sign. But Venus will go under interesting aspects this month. So I can say it's complex month for people ruled by Venus. Because Venus makes a conjunction with Pluto on the 7th of December, aspect with the South Node on the 10th of December, opposition with Mars on the 12th of December. So this is like a roller coaster of the train of horror or something like that for Venus ruled people. So bad aspects with Pluto, with South Node, with Mars in this time frame, 5th to 12th of December. So I'm advising you, all people ruled by Venus, to be more careful in their relationships and in general about what they do on these days specifically, to be more careful in general. But after that, she does not have bad aspects. She then heads towards good aspects. Like she makes a half sextile with her ruler Saturn a little later on the 13th. And with Mercury, some aspects in that time, and also trining Jupiter. So, I mean, whatever issues people may face, on the 13th day, we will have some ability to negotiate, to balance things. And later, with the trine of Jupiter, which is happening 19th to 12th of December, they will be completely able to resolve the issues. And finally, around on Christmas time, people ruled by Venus will have their last aspect being with Jupiter, which means they will have good time, mostly, for the celebrations. Of course, the condition of people who are ruled by the moon varies all the time. This is the most changeable planet. Right now, today, the moon is rising in Sagittarius, however. Rising in Sagittarius, this is for Cancer ascendant in Sidereal and Leo in Tropical. Rising in Sagittarius means accent on work, accent on achieving more perfection for the month. And later, but however, also is positive because it's a sign of Jupiter, so it means good developments in those things. However, the moon later, of course, she will have in the middle of the month some full moon phase, which usually will bring results to those people. And she will disappear 28th, 29th, 30th, moon will be weak of December, so this is a more complex time. But she rises on the day of the New Year, 31st, which promises good time for Cancer rising at this moment. And so, I guess I can comment also Uranus is in such degrees that is each time when he's rising throughout the month, he's actually aligning with itself with the Pleiades. Even though it's not looking like that, it's actually true. If you can check each morning, he will be on the horizon at the same time with the Pleiades. Still, in Sidereal, he's considered to be Aries, in tropical Taurus, no matter, he's aligned with the Pleiades in a specific way. It's called Paranatelonta, which is like conjunction, but alignment, actually. So anyway, this, of course, this alignment with the Pleiades, it can indicate various events that are not so great in the air traffic. And maybe it can indicate much more aggressive actions from the air forces throughout the world, because the Pleiades are associated with such things. And Uranus is the modern planet of air travel. Well, just think about that. Otherwise, for traveling, the best time will be after Mercury rises. Mercury will be invisible for 1 month, so he will be supporting. And so finally, do you want to ask something, Lada? Any ideas? I think this is the main information.
Yeah, you covered all the important and beyond, way beyond.
I have much more to say, of course, but I will keep it for some of the later videos that will happen. So, and for the what to comment, well, people probably wish to hear some comment about the elections. Well, we'll see what is going on. But well, I was sick when Donald Trump actually won. I was thinking that it would be Kamala Harris. Maybe I would have had the same opinion. Who knows if I was not. But now, as he is approaching to power, there are actually some things that can be commented about his future presidency, because I have seen important correspondences between the horoscopes of presidents and what actually happens in their countries when they rule. Those are things that are corresponding, but this will be commented in January. I mean, there is information lurking below the surface right now, right? But in January, I will comment more about that. What it means, the horoscope, the president, how it relates, and there will be some remarks about him also. Lada, you don't have sound here. At least here, your microphone is muted.
Sorry. Because when you were looking at the inauguration days, you were saying that if his chart doesn't look so good, some people are thinking, some astrologers are saying maybe that the inauguration won't be on the day that normally happens, or something might happen, or...
I remember I had a lot of doubt when I was looking at the inauguration date, the day of the oath for president. I noticed that it had a lot of similarities to the last time when he actually became president. This was one of the reasons for me to doubt my decision. So some of those positions will repeat that he had back in 2017. So, but also having in mind that there are omens now that the king is in danger, maybe this should be taken into attention, just in case. But they're repeating. If you remember in the video, I was commenting that Kamala Harris will, on the day of this event, will, in the sky there will be Venus and Saturn in conjunction, which I chose to interpret as favorable, but I said that this can be actually the opposite. Because supposedly Venus is the ascendant Lord Saturn, then can mean tensions actually for her. But the very chart of the inauguration is speaking about the future presidency. For example, in the last, you know, I predicted correctly the last two elections for Trump in 2016, for Biden in 2020, and in 2020 I made some predictions based on the chart of inauguration for Biden. One of those things I said was that there will be a really bad time for the U.S. Army. And immediately this happened. Immediately there was the crisis in Afghanistan and other things. And this was based only on the chart of coming into power. So there is a lot to say from this chart, but we'll do it in the day. Yes, or a little later in January.
Thank you so much, Trifon, again, for your in-depth insight into the months, into December. And if anyone would like to connect with Trifon, he has a very affordable service of just $100 for 30-minute conversation on any topic with him, any question, or the more extended version for 2025. Again, he's taken it down $100 almost. If I'm putting link below in the description of this video, if anyone wants to contact Trifon, again, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being on the live here, supporting us, and may you have a festive December.
Thank you, people. I wish you to have really great time. So take care and see you again soon.